Since starting this test drive gig some 25 years ago, I have seen many memorable nameplate resuscitations. Some wildly successful, like Camaro and Challenger, and others rather forgettable, like Rabbit and Taurus. And now it's Acura's turn to revive one of their storied nameplates. This here is the all-new Integra.
When I hear the name Integra, my mind immediately flashes back to the first I ever drove, a 1998 Type R. Not a bad one to start with, right? I was relatively new to this job at the time, which made my week with it even more special. A rock star experience, as every teenage tuner's jaw dropped at its sight. As you probably know, the Integra soon became known as the RSX, followed by a pair of entry-level replacement cars. First, the TSX, and then the ILX. But just like our favorite 90s TV shows, the Integra name is back, on a 5-door that builds upon the foundation of the new Honda Civic Si. And we're not messing around with CVTs or passive suspensions this week. Nope, this is the most performance-oriented Integra, the A-Spec with a 6-speed manual, adaptive dampers, Grand Touring tires, and a limited slip. Like all of Acura's designs of late, it looks sharp, though not as titillating as the TLX. Available exclusively in the hatchback body style, the Integra is priced from $31,895 including destination. But if you're at all nostalgic for that 90s car, spend the extra money and go A-Spec with technology. Beyond the aforementioned mechanical upgrades, this car sports the larger touchscreen, a head-up display, a 16-speaker ELS studio audio system, HD and SAT radio, a mix of Type A and Type C USB ports, a wireless charge pad matched with wireless phone projection, as it should be, and micro-suede seat inserts, among others. At $37,395 as tested, it's certainly additional money well spent. Unfortunately, no amount scores a height-adjustable passenger seat. With their spec sheets pitted against one another, the differences between the Integra A-Spec and the Civic Si are negligible. Weighing 3,109 pounds, the Acura packs on a few extra lbs. Otherwise, Honda's 1.5-liter turbo makes the same 200 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 500 short of the red line, and 192 pound-feet of torque starting at 1,800 RPM. It's a VTEC all right, electronically controlling and varying the exhaust valve timing across the rev range to improve performance. The drive is marked by a low-effort, long-travel clutch pedal, a free-flowing short-throw shifter with a familiar small metal knob, and an engine that dispenses with first gear in short order. A rev match feature adds a throttle blip to downshifts for added sportiness, and it can be disabled for those who prefer to work that 3-pedal magic themselves. Peak turbo boost is 17.8 psi, but the Integra isn't non-linear or juvenile in its power delivery. It's a smooth climb. Despite the limited slip differential working to put power to pavement, the Conti Pro Contact all seasons lose grip easily when aggressively taking off, but quickly regain their composure, manifesting only a hint of torque steer when getting hard on the gas. 0 to 60 launches are thus a little tricky, checking in at around 7 seconds, so nothing extraordinary. That limited slip effect is most appreciated during hard cornering though, where it helps to overcome any understeer and pull the car through. In sport mode, replete with the tightest steering, firmest suspension, and most vociferous soundtrack, the Integra is a hoot on the back roads, delivering a throwback driving savvy that triggers fond front drive memories of Acura's past, at least as far as I can recollect.
No matter how hard I try, I can't really remember what it was like driving the Integra Type R a million years ago, other than I remember the color of the car being called Championship White. It was so long ago that I can't even go back and watch my own video review of it because it's on this big bulky beta tape that I have no way of playing. But I do recall that car having an aura of coolness and wow factor. And even though this one here isn't a Type R or Type S, I'm just not getting that same feeling. And this really is the perfect example of how a car can be simultaneously engaging to drive, but not really exciting. Now, give Acura credit, though, for preserving the Integra's ethos. Light and easy gear changes, a likable front drive nimbleness, and a rev-happy engine. So it's not that it isn't fun to drive per se, it's just that it's missing some sort of intangible that keeps me from craving my next drive.
Is it because of the higher expectations attached to the Acura badge, or perhaps the fact that cars like the Hyundai Kona N are a couple of grand less while significantly upping driving enjoyment? Though it puts the driver at the center of attention with its combination of lightweight, deft handling, and an unexpectedly assertive exhaust note, the Integra's comeback still comes across as a little underwhelming. I'm doing better than the 30 mpg rating, so mileage is excellent with the help of an engine stop-start system. There's also a long 372-mile driving range, though it does require premium fuel.
Though there's a healthy dose of Civic in here, it doesn't really bother me because the cabin is one of the Integra's standout features. It screams premium sporty, and interacting with it is as simple as the car itself. Nothing here is complicated or overwrought. You simply get in and drive, imagine that, just like an Integra should be. But that doesn't mean there's a lack of stuff in here. It's just that Acura integrates it smartly and under the radar.
No messy touchpad here. This screen works much better than in some other Acuras. I like the welcome and departing sounds it makes too. There's no built-in navigation, so you have to lean on your smartphone for that. On the other hand, Alexa is built in. And these speakers immerse occupants in the music with adjustable sound fields, so crank it up. And you might need to, because the Integra is a little noisy while going light on sound-deadening materials. This screen is also the conduit for the driving modes, including an individual setting, giving the driver ultimate control over numerous variables. There's also a brake hold feature, something unexpected with a manual transmission. Beyond looking the part, these front seats appropriately straddle the line between sport-level grip and long-trip comfort, while the rear seats are a little tight on headroom, at least for me, but there's a big bump out in the roof to accommodate taller adults. However, the trifecta of a flaccid armrest, only one seat back pocket, and no center console vents is not befitting an Acura, entry-level or not. The rear hatch and completely fold-flat seats mean the Integra is far more versatile than it appears. Rumors of an upcoming Type S abound, and that would be welcome because Acura has left a lot of room to take the Integra even further. For TopSpeed.com, I'm Steve Hammes.